Hello, and welcome to a very exciting episode because today we are not just doing a generic world building video, we are doing a deep dive like never before. You've seen stunning art, you've seen unforgettable characters, you've studied gripping plots, but what truly makes a webtoon world come alive? What makes it breathe? Well, that's today's theme. We're going to be looking at advanced world building, creating worlds with depth in webtoon, and we've brought, in my opinion, a prodigy, a genius creator who doesn't just tell stories, they build them brick by brick, layer by layer. So, from complex cultures and immersive politics to histories that stretch far beyond just the first panel, this is the storytelling that transports you truly into the heart of a series. So, if you've ever wondered how to go beyond surface level settings and craft a universe your readers never want to leave, then this is the right place for you to be. So I'm just going to encourage you to go ahead and grab your notebooks, open up your minds, and let's unlock the secrets behind how this genius creator crafts such an amazing series. Of course, as always, please remember that these are our opinions. This is the creator's opinion. So take everything with a grain of salt. They are just speaking from their experience and their personal journey. And so today we will be interviewing the, again, amazing, wonderful, extremely talented creator Squid. You can snapshot their socials here. They are the creator of the series World Eater Yuling.
Yeah, Yulian.
Yulian, thank you. And so, why don't we go ahead and let you take the floor, Squid? Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your series.
Yeah, hello everyone. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm shocked, stunned into silence. What a beautiful intro. I was literally like I was listening half, you know, amazed and half with a sinking heart because I I don't want your viewers to have like listen to such an eloquent beginning and then have to listen to my less polished words, but I will do my
Oh
best.
no, you're good. You're good. We're here to learn from you. Like, we never question a sensei. We just take notes.
I'm Squid. I have I'm an artist and creator of World Eater Yulian and April Flowers, which are both series you can find on Webtoon. And like a fun story about me, the first time I visited the Webtoon office in Los Angeles, I accidentally pepper sprayed myself. It was a pretty awful
We
experience.
we need the details. What happened? What happened? How
Okay.
how does one pepper spray themselves
So
visiting an office?
I was at the time I was 16 years old and it was like my first time traveling by myself. I was with a friend, but like, it was my first big girl trip.
Hmm, hmm.
So I had bought some pepper spray as like protection and I decided, oh, I should probably test this out before heading out to go to the webtoon office. But when I pressed the nozzle, first of all, don't pepper spray. Like don't like spray indoors. That was my first mistake. It could have gone a lot worse, but it didn't spray for some reason. The liquid just like dribbled onto my fingers. And I
Oh
was like, "Oh, I guess
no.
it doesn't work." So I washed my hand I just rinsed my hands off and then I started doing my makeup. And as a 16-year-old girl, you're usually doing makeup, with your fingers that I
Well,
hadn't
no,
washed
I
with
did not know
soap.
this.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just maybe I just don't like buying brushes. I lose
Does
them too
makeup not
much.
come with brushes? Like, you have to buy the brushes
No, you
separate?
gotta you gotta buy it separate. It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's diabolical. Like, not even like a pity brush? Like, this
No.
is a crap.
The pity brush is your fingers, and I was using that to do my eye makeup. On the way to the office, my eyes started burning, and by the time I had reached the office, I had like, realized my folly. I had accidentally rubbed like pepper spray remnant juice all over my face, but I felt too awkward to say anything. So I was just kind of sitting in pain. I was definitely crying, red faced, but I was also trying to play it off. So the first time I met my editor, he was David at the time. Um, he just like saw this teenage girl who's crying, like tears completely streaming down, blotchy red face, makeup like runny, everything looks awful, but who's acting like nothing is going on. It must have been a surreal experience for him. Like,
Oh my god, that would have threw me off. Like I probably
yeah.
would have been like, "What's wrong? Like what's happening?"
I think he ended up assuming that I was just so overjoyed to be visiting the office for the first time that
Oh
I
no.
was in tears. But no, I was in desperate pain.
That's crazy. I'm kind of here for it though.
Thank you,
So,
thank you.
tell us about your series. Like you hinted at it a little bit, but let's get the tea. What is
Okay.
it?
World Eater Yulian is my current series. It's a I guess you could say it's a set in the turn of the century, 19th to 20th century fantasy China. Um, and it's based loosely on Chinese mythology, specifically the concept of the five wuxing elements. Um, I always pitch it as just like Chinese magical girl story.
Oh,
Yulian's the main character. She's got to collect five gods that each represent a different element, have a different animal, and give her a cool different outfit.
yes, yes, yes. I'm here for the different outfits. Like it definitely gives some magical girl vibes in the very beginning. Like the
Thank you,
transformation
thank
with the
you.
dragon. I was like, is this a Sailor Moon reference? Like, am I crazy? Like, am I the only one seeing this?
It definitely is. It 100% is. You are not just seeing it.
Oh, yes. So, guys, if you want to see beautiful art, amazing backgrounds, like just a fully fleshed out series, definitely check it out. Of course, I'm sure Squid will reference her series throughout the interview, but that's just a little taste of what you can get if you check out her series. So, definitely do so. I will have links in the description below. And so, why don't we go ahead and dive into our main topic? So, we are going to be talking all about world building and setting and how like different aspects of this applies to your webtoon. And so we're going to learn a lot of how Squid crafts her series. So why don't you go ahead and tell us like what key elements do you consider when you're building the world of your webtoon? Like how do you start off the webtoon's world?
I guess the key elements I consider is authenticity to my culture. I'm Chinese American, so I guess like growing up in the US, I've always kind of looked towards my mother country's culture with a lot of interest. I felt it's not really that much represented in Western
Mhm,
media.
mhm.
That's been changing recently, but when I was growing up, it was
Yeah.
pretty much Avatar, and that was it. And I've never seen Avatar, so
What?
no,
Okay.
this is a story for another time. But yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. Offline story. Got it.
no. It's literally just I just haven't ever gotten around to it. But I understand that that is apparently a betrayal to my generation, and I need to watch it like ASAP.
It
Uh,
low key is, but we won't focus on it.
yeah, yeah, but I think authenticity is the most important aspect to me. So while I was planning my series, I did a lot of research on different time periods in both Western and Eastern cultures. So specifically looking at like Tang Chinese dynasty all the way up to like the Chinese Republic era. Um, and I was also looking a little bit at the Belle Epoque period of the US and France. I don't want to create a world that is just, bastardizing the aesthetic elements of my culture. I It's
Mhm.
always important for me to make sure I'm like paying homage and respect to the culture that I'm referencing.
Ooh, I love that. I love that you kind of pull from reality because sometimes I think people try and start like their series completely from scratch, and they just like go without any sort of like references or any sort of
Mhm.
like pulling from something that could really help them structure out like the world so well
Mm,
because like your world building, you need to understand different worlds and different cultures.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Research is like it's like 90% of the heavy lifting, I feel. But you really just can't make your own world, like any fantasy world.
Mhm.
Everyone has come from some like real life cultural reference. And the better worlds simply reference those cultures and do it in like more authentic and deeper way. Like they go past surface level bastardization.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. You talking about like doing research and like histories, like you can like really get pulled deep into like different cultures. Like there are people who that's like their whole career for the rest of their lives. So it,
Mhm.
it makes me wonder like how do you balance creating a unique world with keeping it relatable for your readers?
Oh, I don't know if I'm qualified to answer this because I'm not sure if I succeed in balancing that. But
Mhm, mhm,
I think a big part of like World Eater is that it's not just Chinese. A big part of its identity is the Western influence it has both in, the design, but also in story structure and like characters. I feel like they're more so I hope that through creating engaging and realistic characters, like humans are humans no matter what part of the world they're in. I hope that makes it engaging for my readers.
mhm, mhm. No, no, I could agree with that. So maybe you could walk us through your process then. Like how do you develop the history and the lore of your world?
Yeah, so I guess when I was developing my world, I was thinking a lot about belief systems and how societies are governed by these belief systems. In World Eater Yulian, I guess the central theme, the glue that ties every character together is the idea of fate or duty. And I'm sure like a lot of people can understand that that weight of, having a specific duty as like the son or daughter of your parents, you want to make them proud, or you feel
Mhm.
like it's your duty to be a good student or get into a certain school, whatnot. So I basically started from that idea of fate and duty, and I looked at my own cultural background. I did research by looking at different media that inspired me and try to figure out like how does a world how is a world created when it's centered when its society is kind of bound together by the concept of needing to fulfill one's fate. But yeah, the
Mm,
development
mm.
process is really fun because this is when you get to do the most studying and research. So like I personally love anthropology and getting to look at how real humans have been living for the past 100,000 years is really awesome. So yeah, it's really fun.
Oh man, that's so cool. Like I love looking at it because like of course you have to realize like we as individuals our perspectives
Mhm.
are always narrow. Like no
Yeah.
matter like how much we like educate ourselves or how much we try to research like our perspectives can always grow. And
Mm.
so I love the idea of thinking about like how another community might view this aspect of a culture and then like assigning that to your story. Like it adds so much diversity to like the types of people or the types of characters. And like you see that in stories, but like hearing you say it, I'm like, oh, that kind of clicks in my mind.
Yeah, I think like the worst thing you can do as a creative is limit yourself or kind of narrow your worldview to the point where you're not willing to entertain or find beauty in things that are alien to you, whether that be other cultures or different art styles or, time periods that have never really interested you. Like finding beauty in new genres and new research topics, I think is one of the most amazing parts of world building for your story, whatever world that may be.
Yes, I love that. So when you think about setting, like how
Mm.
does setting play in like really shaping the narrative of your webtoon?
Ooh, okay. I think the time period I chose, the turn of the century from 1800s to 1900s, was specifically chosen because in real life, that's kind of the period of globalization and mass industrialization. And that has kind of led to what I feel like is a universal mindset that focuses on optimization and preference satisfaction over everything else. And
Hmm.
so, like, I think, in real life, we see that through artisanal crafts becoming slowly less valued over time in favor of like mass manufactured goods.
Hmm.
But we also see it in Yulian, where not only are parts of like the village that Yulian comes from becoming outdated, but even concepts like fate, duty, or um, honor, those are being phased out to honor you know, preference satisfaction above all else.
Hmm.
So yeah, I wanted to focus on I wanted to create a setting that where a specific belief system is slowly dying out and how that world reacts to a belief that's no longer held in such high faith influences how each of the characters act.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because like it's almost like your world is crafting two different types of people at the same time, which I think is really unique because you don't see that very often where like the contrast of the viewpoints are just like so blatant in certain characters when you're reading it that I feel like, you have to do that amount of research to craft a world like that. Like it wouldn't make sense for like that certain character per se to exist if nobody else shares that sort of thinking or the world's not set up to have that sort of thinking.
Mhm.
And like when you mention I didn't pick up on this, but when you mention like how parts of the city are kind of like outdated versus how other parts are not, like that's a little subtle thing that I didn't even pick up, so that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's all just like, little set dressings, like the mise en scène, I suppose, to help build up to the overall theme of reacting to your fate or what you perceive to be your destiny.
Hmm. Hmm. So how did you decide on the tone? Like the atmosphere of your world? Like how does
Mm.
how does that play a role?
I think the the story is, I guess it's very targeted towards like coming of age early 20s people because I was in my early 20s when I wrote when I wrote it, and um I was feeling really scared and isolated, not really sure what I should do. And to reflect that, I want to create a world in the story that also feels a little bit isolating. Like if you can't keep up with the change with like how everything's changing, you'll be left behind.
Hmm.
Um yeah, cuz like this feeling is really central to the overall theme of fate in Yulian. I think everyone can relate to feeling like they're running out of time. They're like not doing what they should be. They're not
Mhm.
being like productive, or they're not always, I don't know, hustling or grinding to reach their goals. And that feeling can especially be exacerbated in early adulthood. So I hope that the atmosphere of my world is one that readers can relate to in some way, and also feel less isolated knowing that it's not a singular experience.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's really interesting that that's how you crafted it because like those are definitely very relatable concepts even, from culture to culture, from
Mhm.
different time period to different time period. And it's so relatable to see how Lord, I was about to say her name right and I blanked. Yulian.
Yes,
How yes,
perfect.
yes, okay,
Beautiful.
10 points, 10 points. How Yulian is, like, navigating this point in her life,
Mhm.
and I you can really feel the isolation that she has despite being surrounded by so many people.
Yes, yes, thank you. I'm glad that came through.
Yes, it definitely does. So, since we're kind of on the topic of characters, like
Mm.
once you really get the sense of the world, the atmosphere, the tone, like now it's time to like really integrate those characters. How do the characters influence the development of the world that's around them?
Okay. Oh man. I love this question. Um it might be a little bit spoilerish, so I guess like if you haven't read season 1 yet, or I'll keep it a bit vague. But my story has characters that are immortal, and I guess the entire story is reacting to one specific turning point event that occurred 300 years ago from the present moment in the story. So, how those like immortal characters have reacted to that one turning point moment has really shapes how the world develops for the next 300 years. And I wish I could say more, but it's kind of like the point of season 2, which is coming out soon. So
Yes,
I
yes.
shan't say more. But yeah, I'm really excited to share how how that is with everyone.
Yes, so season 2 is coming out June 23rd. Definitely be there, show up, support. I was about to call you Julian Squid. I will say I do think it's interesting whenever people have gods in their series,
Mhm.
especially ones that have been around for long periods of time. And I think it's so interesting when you get the perspectives of the gods, like you can tell whether or not a creator thought about the god before introducing them into the plot or not. Because I think about series like I know you're not like a big anime watcher
Mm.
currently or whatever, but like Frieren is like all world building. Like
Yeah,
it's
I've
it's a
heard that's a amazing anime that I apparently really need to watch.
oh, if you love world building, you'll love the series. Like
Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
there's so many little tidbits and it's because of her perspective through time. Like since she doesn't age,
Mhm.
she views everything differently from everybody else. And so, anyway, my point with this was like, I love to hear that, you think about how the characters, like, okay, what would their perspective be like? They've been on the earth for this amount of time. They're likely see cycles of things, they see how people respond to things. So, all of that's super important when integrating your different types of characters.
Thank you.
And so when you're building your world, how much do you allow the characters to quote unquote breathe um within the world, like and especially the rules that you've established?
Mm, I think I um I guess I try to just think about it like realistically how humans might react to outdated rules or things that might seem strange. Um, and I'd like to give faith to my readers that they don't need like to be handheld throughout the entire journey of a character interacting with their environment. Um, so I just try to I mainly just try to have my characters react first realistically within the story, and then afterwards I'll kind of look at it from the viewpoint of, oh, how is someone who maybe isn't familiar at all with Chinese culture react to this? How should I maybe add some transitional scenes or add a panel or two to explain this moment a bit more? Or does that even need explaining? I think like I don't know about you, but I grew up I grew up a huge weeaboo, and this was back in the day where like it was pretty difficult to find like official translations.
Mhm,
So I'd
mhm,
often find like bootleg translations, and where some phrases are just left completely untranslated. And I think like that's like a really fun part about reading things from like a different culture. Like for example, when I was reading webtoons for the first time, I learned so much about like South Korean culture just from translators deciding, yes, I'm going to keep this word. I'm not going to translate this word into English. I'm just going to keep it um, like romanized so that the reader can
mhm,
pronounce it. And then
mhm.
I'm just going to trust that the reader will search up what Nuna means or what like Hyung means later on. I'm gonna trust that they can like keep that in mind. And I think that like makes the experience all the more richer. It lets you experience and appreciate the nuances of different cultures so much more. Yeah, so I just wanna sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there. I just
No,
wanna
no, no.
give
We're
readers
here for the tangents.
that that beauty of like slowly learning about um a world they might not be super familiar with.
Yeah, I think it's important too to like it helps to show different aspects of the character sometimes, like
Mhm.
than just strictly following like a trope or what you've established as the set. Like sometimes characters are, you can have like the really tough guy that's interested in
Mm.
other things that are not tough. So like
Mhm,
there's so
mhm.
many aspects of like crafting a character and interest and making them relatable. And I love that you said like thinking about how they would realistically react to things. So I think
Yeah.
that's such a cool point to take away.
Um,
And so let's talk about culture and society.
okay.
So how do you develop your culture or the social or political structures within your world?
I turn a lot to history. Unfortunately, a lot of the or I guess not unfortunately, but a lot of the like historical texts I read are in like are European, like Western based though, because my Chinese is not that good. So I'm drawing from a lot of like Western thinkers, which I don't think is a bad thing. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said unfortunately, but it does
I
that's
think I
just
knew what you meant. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, I'm not studying all of the
Yeah,
culture. Like, that was
yeah,
the vibe I got.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um I think like particularly in regarding like the political structure, I recently like have read the works of like a few classical political thinkers like Thomas Hobbes, Rousseau, the Jansenists, um, and like analyzing how people felt about society and what society is, what humans are, what our social contract is, what binds the state together. That is really helpful in helping me to understand how the humans of my world might shape society.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, like I think it's really important to get those varying perspectives because, you know, it's so hard to truly understand an opinion you don't understand without doing the
Yeah.
research.
Mhm.
Like how am I going to be able to craft this realistically when I just disagree with everything about it? Like it's so easy.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I
Like
don't believe in like Pareto's beliefs, but I'll still read his works cuz it's important to understand what it is that you disagree with, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
always getting all those different facets of the argument is very important, I think.
Yeah, no, it definitely is because like if you have your villain and they're just like wrong and then when they have their little monologue moment to explain, it's not compelling cuz like
Yeah, yeah.
you as the writer don't even agree like to
Yeah,
a point
yeah.
where you could explain why they feel the way they do. And I'm just using villains as an example because we get so many terrible villains where like we get to their reasoning and then we're like, dude, that makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
oh my good grief. Oh, we got a comment that Wufaria is in love with Hung Long.
Huang
Am I
Long, yeah.
and the chicken.
Yes, they
Squid
are
was
mighty creatures.
Squid was telling me before we jumped on the live that chickens are very interesting creatures, and I had no clue.
Yeah, their heads are like stabilizing. Like they're really good camera stabilizers. So if you like take a chicken, if you're holding one and you move it around, its neck will move to keep its head uh stationary, fixed in one spot in space. It's
Uh,
pretty cool.
oh my god, that sounds kind of scary though. Like
I guess it
that
is a
sounds
little
like
weird. Like, how do they know how to do that? But
yes, yes. It gives me like ghost vibes, like those paintings that you're like, are you staring at me? Like I now whenever I look at any chickens that I pass by, I'm like, oh Lord, it's a possessed chicken. You've ruined this for me. You've ruined this for me. So getting back on track, how do you use
Mhm.
world building to enhance your themes or messages of your webtoon?
um, I guess I cheat a little bit because the characters are some of them are immortal, so they get like an overarching expansive opinion of history, and it's easier, I think, to glean a theme from like trial and like seeing something experimented on and like having multiple sessions of trial and error that you can only really get if like your character is immortal, because otherwise how are they gonna like witness generations of humans, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I think having an overarching view of history and like understanding the lessons that history teaches helps to push the theme of duty and sacrifice that Yulian and a lot of other characters really struggle with in the story.
Yeah, I think it's so important to not underestimate like the impact that the world has on your character. Like a lot of times where we as humans, I think are shaped by like things that we see, things
Hmm.
that we feel, and like a lot of those feelings come from external sources, you know, seeing, you know, injustice in school or seeing injustice on TV or something that you don't agree with, like
Yeah.
all of that can like really influence like how you as a person feels about what you want to do moving forward in your journey. And I feel like that same concept applies to your characters. Like there are stories where it's literally just focusing on the characters' feelings and whatnot, like
Yeah.
very like niche. But then there's other stories that's like, no, this goes beyond just how the character feels.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, you know, let's talk about like consistency and expansion and really developing out the world. So, what challenges have you faced when trying to keep the world consistent throughout your series?
Oh, okay. I This is totally a challenge of my own making, but
The lore is too rich.
I I hand draw all of my backgrounds. I used 3D models for the first few episodes of World Eater, but I ended up stopping pretty soon because I just couldn't really get the hang of SketchUp, honestly. So, and honestly, like, I'm also creating a fantasy world, and I feel like that mix of Western and Eastern elements that is present in my world building is something that, a pre-made 3D model isn't really going to help express. So, unless I pay for someone to model, all the backgrounds for me and spend a lot of time doing, concept art and layouts for environments, I feel like using 3D would feel a little bit inauthentic to my vision.
Hmm.
But, it's also a weekly deadline with Webtoon, and I'm sure like I'm sure like you've heard a lot of other creators talk about how difficult it is to keep up a consistent output at that rate.
Hmm.
So it feels
Hmm.
like sometimes I have to sacrifice polish for like vague ideas of backgrounds at times.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
another challenge is I just feel like I'm not as detail oriented as I could be. I feel like my landmarks are kind of nebulous. I'm kind of sorry. I just realized I use kind of so much. I will
Oh,
do my
no, no
best to
worries, no worries. It's a filler word. Like it's all good.
yeah.
It's all good.
I'm doing my best to be more eloquent. I'm still thinking about that amazing intro.
Oh my good grief! Stop.
No, I was literally like beat red. I was so touched.
It's because
Um
you're so talented. Like you have so many
no,
thoughts on
no,
this. Like
stop,
you're
stop.
you're doing such a good job. I promise. I promise. Like I'm sure chat agrees. Like we're learning so much from you.
Yeah, but I'm at a point where I'm kind of creating the environments as I go just based off of previous research I've done and what the scene needs at the time. So yeah, those are the main challenges. I feel a little guilty about it, but what can you do?
Well, you're only human. And I mean, you have a lot going on in comparison to probably other creators. Like Webtoons is like, yes, a job for you, but also you're doing other things at the same time.
Yeah.
So, like personal life, IRL stuff, like kind
Mhm.
of crosswires that. But like looking at what you've created, it just goes to show like how much care you put into it. And everybody knows that Webtoons is limiting in like the demand for it on creators. So honestly, I don't know how anyone could create any sort of like overly complicated world on that deadline, but you did it. So
Thank you.
so
Yeah,
it's
there's a couple other creators that I think like the one I think of like immediately is Space Boy.
oh
Like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, that comic is inspo gold. If there's like another question further on, I'll gush about Space Boy more. But just a quick shout out to Space Boy. Oh my gosh, amazing world building. Sorry, please continue.
Oh, no, no, no. Please gush all you want. Like, definitely check out that series. I will make sure to link it in the description below so you can have another reference for amazing world building. How do you handle expanding your world without overwhelming the reader with too much information? I find like this is probably
Mm.
like we touched on this a little bit
Hmm.
earlier from the reader's perspective, but I find this to be hard when you have a series that just has so much lore.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think like I mentioned earlier, I don't really want to handhold my readers, but I also understand like getting blasted with just lore dumps is crazy. So I try to drip feed tidbits of world building in each chapter to hopefully form a eventual cohesive view of the world for readers that are paying attention. And that way, when the full world is actually revealed, it makes the readers that are like paying special attention to like background details or whatever, it makes it feel more rewarding. And if you're not, that's fine too. Like, it's fun for me.
And what about introducing new locations or elements into
Mm.
the world? Like, how do you do that without like disrupting the flow? Like, I know in your series there's a lot of travel. So,
Oh yeah, I think I tried to just integrate hints of landmarks from the very beginning. Like one key landmark in season 2 is Central, which is kind of like this um rich person city that's been mentioned over and over again since like episode 1. So
mhm.
yeah, just trying to like drip feed that and slowly build it up so the setting almost becomes a character in itself when it's finally revealed.
Yes, I know in with my one brain cell, like stories that have a bunch of settings just get so easily confusing to me if it's
Mhm.
not distinctive. Like I think of Game of
Yeah.
Thrones and I could not tell you any city that they're in, but when they're like, we're in King's Landing. We're, at I can't even remember what the Stark's home is, but like it
Winterfell, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Winterfell, like, all of that, I'm like, "Oh, okay," like, and it's because, like, 1, they mention it a million times, and 2, like,
Mhm.
they're very distinct in the way they look.
Yeah, yeah. It also helps to like reference tropes of settings. Like maybe not everyone's super familiar with Chinese culture, but people are familiar with like the concept of a bar, right? Or
Mhm,
a
mhm.
town square or an interior meeting room. So like even as long as it has those like essential like the skeleton that everyone recognizes, the set dressing and how that aesthetic orients itself physically, it doesn't matter as much, I think.
Oh, I've never thought of it that way, that's super interesting, like, focusing on the like, what they're actually doing or what the area is, opposed to, like, making it
Mhm.
confusing for the reader by doing something that they're unfamiliar with.
Yeah, yeah.
So, let's move into the visual world building then. How do you approach the visual design of your world? Like, we're talking architecture, landscapes, or even the fashion choices.
Mm. I try to simplify as much as possible. I like break down complicated structures into their most basic, like just geometric shapes, and then design a little, I guess, design language based off of the that abstraction. And I think like that helps to really solidify the overall design language of your world. If you know, like it can be easy to get caught up in details of all the references you're pulling. So,
Mhm.
like making sure at the end of the day you remember you're still an artist. This is supposed to be fun. Like injecting your creativity, just look at it, get the vibe of, what the object is, and then just transplant that wherever. Like for example, I'm looking at like some steampunk uh designs for creating the central city in Yulian. And I don't know I don't know how steampunk machinery works. I
Oh,
am the
no.
least mechanically gifted oriented person you'll ever meet.
We
But
we're in the same boat.
I know what like pipes look like. And I know what, valves and whatnot looks like. So, as long as I get that basic idea, I can use it to add to the visual design.
Oh, I love that. I love I so for me personally, I love doing like the outfit designs for stuff. Like I just find that so fun, especially in
Mhm.
like fantasy settings and whatnot.
Oh
And so like
yeah.
none of the clothes will ever be like wearable because like it's impossible. Sometimes when you're doing a design, you're like, this is not logical. Like no one could ever wear this. But I love like you saying that, just have fun with it, like add your own
Mhm.
artistic flair to it. And like even
Yeah.
though it may not make sense in reality, like you're just doing this for fun. Like you're doing it to have fun. Oh.
Yeah, like okay, think of the Star Wars ships. Like this is something that I always remember one of my teachers had said before. 99% of the audience of Star Wars don't know how ships, like how a spaceship is constructed. 99.9% even. but like they know generally what a spaceship should look like. They know it should
Mhm.
have panels and fillets and like windows and whatnot. As the
Mhm.
artist, it's not your job to create an actual working spaceship. You're just trying to create something that looks like a spaceship and most importantly looks cool. So take like
Most
take like
importantly.
yeah, no, really, just make sure it
No, no,
looks
no.
cool.
I'm stealing that. I'm from now on, most importantly, looks cool. Like, that's my vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Just like I think like have fun, having fun with approaching the visual design and just making sure like at the end of the day what you create like you feel excited about it. That's
Mhm.
my number one advice for like approaching the visual design of a world.
And like, I really really relate to just like letting your creativity fly on some of these things because
Mhm.
all you need is like that base.
Yeah, yeah,
And
you
then
mhm.
just go from there.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
So I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be people that are going to be like, this is not realistic. Like, this is too heavy for it to fly. Who cares? That's
Yeah,
1% of the
yeah,
audience.
like, oh my god, people who are like, Frodo should have just ridden an eagle to Mount Doom. Like, that's not the point. Where's your sense of romance? Where's your sense of like, you know, what? Why are you reading a story? And what if the world was made of cheese? You know, like just allow yourself to enjoy the imperfections or whatever. Sorry, I have like a thing against people who are super, this must be 100% accurate to scale and whatnot. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
do think there are stories like that for those types of people, but I'm just like, it's not mine. Like, I'm just here
yeah.
for vibes and a good time.
Hmm.
So,
Oh yeah.
what's the importance of visual storytelling in building a really rich world? Like, do you think it's just like to set yourself apart from other artists? Do you think it's like
Mm.
something personal? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I think in a webtoon, it's probably less important. Like the visual storytelling and background elements. I'm assuming like the
Mhm.
world
Mhm.
building elements. I
Right.
feel like it's not as important. I think somebody in chat earlier mentioned like the character art is what counts for the webtoon 99%. That's
Mhm.
redigitized, said that, and I totally agree. But I think if you love world building and you're like Tolkien who will just like spend pages upon pages writing verses about how beautiful the storied history of this one tree is, you know? Like if that's what brings you joy, then it's super important. Then it's the most important thing. Like if you love world building, then I think that's then I think visual storytelling and like adding those little background hints or like putting in that extra effort to make sure that oh this a it's not a two piston engine, it's actually a six piston engine because in my world the people worship, the number 6. I don't know, sorry, this is just a
The
random
six
example.
Christian God.
Yeah. um I and in terms of like how the world's design influences the emotional tones of the scene, I just try my best um to make use of engaging color palettes,
Mhm.
especially for emotional scenes. Unfortunately, I'm not I have to say, and I say this about world building too, I'm not an expert or by any means an authority. Um, I think there's a lot of people who do very amazing visual storytelling with a lot of nuance. Um, but I just try my best. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all we can ask for. Like, all of us are growing as artists. All of us are figuring out things on our journey. So, but you do a really good job with your
Thank you so
world
much.
building. So let's talk about inspiration and challenges then, our next sub point. So what inspires the creation of your world? Are there any specific real world places or works of fiction that influenced your setting?
Yeah, real world place, definitely China. The story is set in a fictional based on China world. I hope to portray like kind of a quote Western Chinese world based on how I, someone who grew up in America, sees the beauty of my home country. And I try my best not to look at too many fictional settings, but rather the inspiration behind fictional settings when looking
Mm.
for like specific inspiration. Just because I think, always looking back at the source is really important for you to like first, understand how the artist or the world that you admire like lifts and takes inspiration from those sources, but also to like flex your own creative thinking skills and like and practice abstracting from the original source in your own unique way.
Do you
So like
have like
mhm.
an example of that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. For example, like Arcane, they which is like a really popular, really amazing world building in that show. I could talk about the background art and design all day. But one of the cities, Zon, features really incredible Art Nouveau inspiration in
mm,
like the way that background elements are wrought, in the way certain things are gilded and paneled. um I think Piltover is more like art deco inspired. So like instead of looking just at the arcane concept art, I think it's also very valuable to look at the real life references behind
mhm, mhm.
those concepts.
Oh, that's really interesting. I've never thought about like normally whenever I do any of my world building setting type stuff, I only look at like the reference itself, not the reference of the reference.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm gonna add that to my list of things to do.
Yeah, it just also like exposes you again to things that like you may have never considered thinking about. Like for example, Breath of the Wild, the design for I think like the shrines is based off of the Jomon period. I think it's
Oh.
of Japan. I Please don't quote me on that. But yeah, and if you look at like Jomon period, like pottery, you can definitely see where the influence takes place, and I think that it's so much cooler and more interesting for you to like be inspired by Breath of the Wild and then look into the Jomon period and then just fall into a bunch of research about Jomon period anthropology, how people lived, what they wore, like what they ate. I think that is like the best part of world building research.
Yes, no, that's super fun. Like and you really expand on things sometimes that you've never seen before, never knew, never understood, and it just helps to really like keep that creativity building, I think. So I think that's a
Mhm.
really fun aspect. And you know, with all of that in mind, I wonder like what's the most difficult aspect of world building for a webtoon?
Ah, um, well, obviously the most difficult part is world building is fun, but in a narrative story, it's always like the characters in the story is always going to take precedent, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's fun to get like to get carried away with it, but you do have to kind of temper the amount of time you can really dedicate to your backgrounds, keeping the weekly pace in mind. Um, and I think on a weekly upload schedule, it's just a little bit more difficult for information to stick. I think it's like, for example, it's easier to take in Game of Thrones reading the book than it is if you were to read each like short little segmented chapter of the book on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
Um and Chinese romanization in particular, I think, can be very different for people who might not be used to the way Chinese sounds. So I understand, like, I'm asking a lot from my readers to like remember details about names that sound unfamiliar to them, details about the world from a culture that they're not super familiar with. Um, but again, with the weekly schedule, you're really only able to feed like little drops at a time. So I think that's probably the most difficult aspect of world building for
Oh,
Webtoon, at
yeah.
least for me.
Well, I can only imagine, like, doing any amount of panels in a week and having to include, like, so much nuance and whatnot while the main story is moving forward and trying to hook readers. I can only imagine. How do you decide what to include and exclude from your world to maintain its depth?
Mm, I think while I'm storyboarding, it just depends on on like if the scene needs an overhead shot or not. Like if it needs an establishing shot, then I'll be like, okay, I guess I need to design this room in more detail. then. A lot comes down to just deciding what's visually necessary. Like I mentioned a lot about putting in detail to the backgrounds and world building, but I just want to be really clear. I I think, you know, on a weekly deadline or not weekly, but just even like on a webtoon like creation process overall, it's really hard to focus on backgrounds when it's something that readers will probably look at for like half a second. Narrative is always going to be key above all else. And if the environment distracts from the narrative, either, for the reader or distracts me from being able to focus on the narrative, then I need to cut it.
Oh, those are really good tips. There's so much that you can include in an episode, but sometimes we just gotta cut.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's look at our last segment. And so this is gonna be about engagement and growth.
Mhm.
And how do you gauge your readers' engagement with the world you've created? Do you adjust things based on feedback? Do you stick with the original vision?
Mm.
Like, to me, I feel like webtoons are kind of like a living sort of thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
you get
definitely.
feedback, like you can see what the readers are really interested in. And so it just makes me wonder, like, is there any adjustment on your part, or like are you just like, no, I am not changing anything. This is the vision.
Yeah, I definitely do think agree with what that sentiment that a webtoon is a living, breathing like thing that grows
Mhm.
each week. Um I did used to adjust things mostly in the beginning of season 1 when I was trying to reach a very like as wide an audience as possible. I adjusted things to, in an attempt to make sure that I wasn't cutting anyone off. But, around episode 15 or so, you can kind of I kind of just said, okay, people who are still reading, I'm gonna trust that you'll be here along the ride. And I just kind of go along with my original vision from now on. I I've been working in a vacuum for season 2, so I literally can't, adjust things based off of reader engagement for a lot of the episodes that'll be coming out.
Mhm.
And I think that'll be interesting because I definitely think like a lot of creators might be like, "Oh, I don't adjust anything," but I personally I don't know how I can stop myself from like subconsciously maybe giving X character like a little more screen time if I know that
Mhm.
if I know that readers like this character, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think it helps you to keep a more well-rounded perspective, which is something we've kind of touched on a little more. Like I don't think you need to like adjust your plot, but
Mm,
like if your readers are like really vibing with something,
mhm.
like it's good to consider like, is there any way I can squeeze in like a little bit more of this? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it also helps that, like, if we're talking specifically, like, reader engagement with the world,
mhm.
it helps that a lot of, like, people usually don't comment on the world building. So
Yeah.
I'm a little spoiled in that, I'm not really receiving too many criticisms on it, and I can just continue happily doing my own little my own little thing.
Well, be expecting me to comment in
Oh
season 2 and be
god.
like, why are we leaving this venue?
Oh
I love this
no. Oh
place."
no. Oh no.
You'll know if
Okay.
you get comments like that, it's me. So just disregard. Okay, and our last question. What
Mhm.
advice do you have for new Webtoon creators trying to create immersive and dynamic worlds for their stories?
Okay, I I would say I have 5 tips.
Ooh, lay them on us.
Okay, and I didn't order them all. I don't have like cool names for them. I'm just gonna try to name them. My first one is always try to look for at original sources like historical documents or photos or paintings, because it's helpful to look at fantasy worlds that inspire you, like for example, the elves in Lord of the Rings. But it's also much more helpful to look at what inspired those worlds to begin with, like Celtic, Norse, Finnish folk legends, and architecture inspiring the elves' world in Lord of the Rings. Then you can understand both the original inspiration and deepen your overall like world knowledge, and you can also understand how the creators you look up to change those original inspirations to fit their views. Number two is to read outside of contemporary literature to expand your worldview. I mean, I think all of my things are basically going to boil down to keep an open mind. But yeah,
Mm,
I would like try to like read things that challenge you, or like read texts that you need to translate line by line because the language is just not familiar, like the old English or middle English isn't as familiar to you, because I think
mhm,
there's something really rewarding about reading, like, about a world created like hundreds of years ago or even only 50 years ago. Like, there there's so much to the world outside of just what's trending on Book Talk. So like, yeah, just read outside of contemporary lit.
Oh
Num
Lord, you don't wanna sometimes you don't even wanna read what's on Book Talk, like, it's not even worth it. Like, it's not even good brain candy.
Oh my god, really? I'm not
Oh.
on TikTok too much, so I'm not sure, but
Oh, I can fill you in on all the tea if you ever want to know. I
we'll
keep
have
up
to
with
talk
all of the
about
Book
it.
Talk.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um Number 3, worlds are not really ever static. Change is constant, and your world is constantly evolving, just like how the world today is constantly evolving and changing. I think the most interesting parts of world building is how your world changes over time, and in a kind of more macabre line of thought, how to destroy those worlds. So thinking about people who oppose the world they live in helps a lot in making a more realistic world to begin with. So I mean, like, looking at underrepresented people, like not just looking at the royalty in a isekai story, but rather maybe look at how commoners might feel about the lavish spending of the Duke and Duchess that you've reincarnated as. I don't know. I don't actually read those stories, so I have no idea what's going on. But yeah. And then number 4, your environment should always support your narrative. If you enjoy world building solely, I would say don't make a webtoon. You should make a portfolio. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think like world building portfolios are super amazing and beautiful to look through. But if you're looking specifically to make a webtoon, ultimately you should like your story is always going to be king. And you should always think about how your world can enhance that story rather than detract from it. And finally, I would say try not to just read webtoons if like to look at world building inspiration in particular because webtoons are often created like on a time crunch, usually just by one person who's also juggling the character design, line art, flats, renders, storyboards, scripts. So you should reference works that have more time, patience, and monetary support poured into it. Like reference things where an artist has really been able to like take time to nourish and nurture the world that they're creating. But yeah, those are my 5 tips.
Oh, those are awesome tips. Like I think they're so good. I love the last one. Like don't just read webtoons.
Yeah, yeah.
Like yes, understand if you're making a webtoon that yeah, you want to study other webtoons, but like as a writer, as a storyteller, as a creator, consume all types of mediums.
Yeah, definitely.
So that will wrap up our world building topic. So let's enter into our Q&A. And so if you guys have any questions for Squid, we'll stick around and answer a few of them. And then afterwards we'll close out. So this is the stream is now open to you, chat. Oh. I do have a question for you,
Yeah.
Squid. How did you get your name?
Oh, I was literally just I guess okay, the story behind my name was I wanted to create another webtoon. At the time I had just like finished creating April Flowers, or not finished, but I'd gone on hiatus, but I had made the decision that I couldn't return to it for a bit, and I wanted to make a new comic, but I guess I was struggling with imposter syndrome, and I felt like I didn't want to like give World Eater like an unfair advantage. I realize now it's like it sounds super dumb. Um but I was like, no, I don't want to be seen as like a nepo baby. So I just want to publish my story on Canvas like anonymously. And I had to think of a new username because you need to make a username to make a new Webtoon account. And so it was literally just, oh, I'll just think about an animal. Squids, okay, yeah, that works. Squids, yes, and that was pretty much it.
Oh, okay. I mean, I love it. I love it. So do you like squids? Are they like your favorite animal or you were just
Um,
like
not really.
you just like picked the name out of the hat?
I mean, I think they're cool, but like, I don't know, they just weird. I like calamari, so
Oh
maybe
my good
that's
grief. I feel
maybe
like
I was
you
just
should have been
hungry.
like chicken eye or something instead.
Oh, God. You know what? In an alternate universe, I could have been Chicken Eye.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, Atagong asks, what would you say is a bad example of world building?
Um, I would um maybe like my first series, April Flowers. I don't want to like I mean I genuinely just can't really think of one right. I can only think of good examples of world building right now, unfortunately.
Well,
Um
well,
I can
give
give
us
you a
a
bunch of
few good
those.
examples. Yeah, give us like 3
Okay,
good examples.
I love uh Space Boy. as I said earlier, I think the way that I think it's Stephen McCraney, or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that he develops his world and slowly reveals more and more of it to readers every week. I think the way he does it is like honestly masterful. It's so incredibly inspiring. Um, I also think I think there's a story called the Blind Prince
Oh
by
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cozy Crow. And the backgrounds in that, I mean, the art in that comic is amazing, but the backgrounds especially are like jaw dropping and make me really want to do like a medieval European fantasy like fairy story. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I want to change genres so bad. Like this looks so beautiful. And Sable Curse, uh I f- I forgot the name of the creator.
Stable.
Sable Curse by Little Melon. Sable Curse.
Mm.
It's like about,
Oh.
yeah, it's about this girl called Taryn who just goes to this cool holiday retreat and goes on a bunch of amazing adventures.
Oh wow. Okay, definitely. Okay, so there are three good webtoons that we all can look up and learn from. Let's see. Beanworms, hi Beans, asked, what are your favorite and least favorite parts of the webtoon creation process?
Oh, I think my favorite part is probably storyboarding or drawing the background. Like background days are pretty fun because I usually don't draw like my background people characters until background days. So I get to like throw in cameos of my friends, and just like add in little fun details in like pots or background elements. And my least favorite part is everything after backgrounds, because that's just like post rendering and processing and like aligning text, doing like all the SFX. It's like not fun. It's so boring.
Oh my good grief. Yeah, I can imagine. Are you said, oh, this is actually kind of funny. They said, you know who does really great world building you wouldn't normally think of? Tom and Jerry. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
Oh
it's
my
like
god, I have. Tom and Jerry is is the goat. I love Tom. I love Jerry.
Oh, I love Tom too. I think his design is so fun.
I
Um,
used to be scared of Tom as a
really?
kid. Yeah, Tom is the cat, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, cuz his eyebrows always made him look so angry, and that just really stressed me out as a kid, you know. I was not able to deal with that. But now as an adult, I understand.
You understand. You get it. I just
Yes.
thought it was fun. Boss said, "Oh, it's a two question. So, what do you think? First question: what do you think about character driven stories?"
Um Character driven stories. Yeah, I love character driven stories. I think, I mean, hmm. Yeah, wait. One of my favorite stories, Gone Girl, is just strictly character driven, and it is the craziest freaking story ever. It is a psychological roller coaster. If you've never seen or heard of Gone Girl, I urge you, drop everything you're doing and go to your local library, go on Libby, go do whatever. Get yourself a copy of Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. It is like a masterclass in narrative technique, in characterization. Not a lot of world building, but it doesn't matter because the drama and the story just carries it so hard.
Oh, I haven't read it before, so I'll have to add it to my
Really?
list. Yeah, like it was really popular for a while, and especially after
Hmm.
the movie came out, I thought about
Yes.
reading it, but I was just like,
I
Oh
love the movie. I feel like I
no.
can quote like chunks of it. Like
Oh dang, like you're that
yeah.
into it.
No, yeah, I love Amy's cool girl monologue. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read the book and you'll understand and you will be radicalized.
Okay, I've got to do it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do it. I'm gonna do
it
it.
it's my favorite. It's like my
After,
guilty pleasure reading.
after I finish my current book, I'll do it.
What's your current book?
Oh, it's a book talk book. Me,
Ooh. No,
listen.
no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with
Oh
that.
no, no, no. There's not. There's not.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, yeah,
brain
yeah.
candy book. So one of my
Okay.
friends, we're in like a little book club thing, and
Okay.
so we were trying to decide what book we wanted to read next, and they were like, "I keep seeing this book on Book Talk. Like maybe we should actually try it." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, let's see what it is." And so basically, it's the Hunger Games with like superpowers. It's Powerless. Is that the first book? Anyway, it's a new series. It's okay. I'm enjoying it so far.
You know what? That sounds lit. I I'll have to check it out.
Yes, I'll send you a link. I'll send you a
Okay.
link.
I love the Hunger Games.
Oh, me
So,
too. Me too. Like now
yeah.
that's something I could like literally quote. Like
No, same. Oh my god. Wait. I'm I love Hunger Games so much. I'm glad
okay.
that we're on the same page with
Uh,
this.
wait. I've got to know. This will for real determine if this interview continues.
Okay.
Peter or Gail.
Well, that's not even a question. PETA. What? PETA in 1,000 years. PETA. He's like the dream. Are you serious? Are you a Gale?
Okay,
Are you a Gale?
I'm neither because I don't like either boy. But if I had to pick one, I would pick PETA because Gail killed her sister. So I was just like, oh no, Gail, you ended like you have no chance now. Like she did everything for Prim. So like now you have no chance of anything. Like just disappear. But
Well, PETA's so.
if I had to pick
I know what
Katniss'
you're gonna
love
say.
interest, do
I know what you're
you?
gonna say.
It would be
Can I?
Finnick.
Oh. Okay. Oh my. Okay. I feel like your narrative? Is this narrative Apollo speaking, or is this wish fulfillment? Actually, I have a crush on Finnick Apollo speaking because I just have a sneaking feeling it might be a little bit
A little
of
wish
option
fulfillment.
two.
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's not all option two, but in my defense, I feel like Finnick was one of the only ones that flirted with Katniss where she was just like, ooh, like she was feeling it. Like Peeta's flirting and Gail's flirting. She's just like, what are you doing?
No, she and PETA are the OTP. We're gonna fight about this later.
They're all right. I don't know. I don't like Peeta's behavior with her sometimes. I'm like, punch her in the face.
Oh
Not really, not really. I wouldn't condone violence, but
no.
like sometimes Katniss, I'm like, she is like beating you up, dude. Like, stand up.
I mean, that's like part of the appeal. Okay, so we're getting carried away,
We're
but
getting sidetracked. Okay. So, what are your favorite and least favorite tropes, if any?
oh, I
Submissive boys.
mm, you know what? That is a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Um, I would have to say my favorite trope is like dog companions. Is that a trope?
Is that a trope? Maybe
I can't put a
like
dog
an animal sidekick sort of
No, no,
thing.
no. Specifically a dog or like a wolf.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like I've changed a little bit in your estimation.
My eyes, I'm like, oh, this is different. Like this,
I just
I'm not trying to kink shame or anything.
no, this I just I okay, I have a dog, a husky, a beautiful
You
husky
do have a
chow
beautiful
mix,
husky. Like,
and I just his name's Tofu, and I just
Squid sent me a
love.
picture of this husky, and I don't know, the only way to describe your dog is, like, majestic or royal. Like, I felt like he could have a crown.
Yeah, he's a sassy little boy for sure. I I feel like just that beautiful bond between man and dog, like the love and the trust. I'm exposing myself for being like a total
Exposing
dog
yourself.
nerd. I just love dogs so much. Like I think dogs are so cute and so adorable. I love the way their tails wag. I can't put a dog character in Yulian because I just feel like I would
That
derail
world
the
is too
entire
rough.
story. I derail it and just focus on the freaking dog. I love dogs so
Oh.
much.
Okay, yeah, don't do that then.
Yeah,
Your next series can have a dog companion in it.
yeah, and I I don't know. Can you give me an example of like a hated trope so I can get a.
Oh, so I dislike, I'm trying to think of something I really dislike. Um, I guess like I hate when like a female lead falls in love with a toxic man and it's like all red flags all the time. Like he's never does anything right and she's still in love with him.
Bye. Why do I like that though? Ooh, just kidding, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I already knew.
um
I already knew.
I guess okay, I don't like the trope. I mm, I don't like the trope where I don't know. Well, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, actually I do know. I don't like the young genius. I don't like that trope.
Oh, I was thinking like I was like, I don't like the overpowered character for no reason. So,
Mm,
okay, okay, I can see
mm.
young genius too. I feel that.
Yeah, like I mean, I love young geniuses in real life, but like I just I don't like them in media. Like they like I don't know. I feel like this child is a level of awareness beyond his years and it makes me a little like fearful.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I like it when it's like a thriller. Like I like them. I'm like, oh, you're gonna end up being the villain in the end. I love this.
Oh, wait, I do like that. You know what? You know what? You know what? I'll rescind. I don't think I have a least favorite trope. I'm really
You're,
sorry.
you're probably like, under certain circumstances, I would like the trope.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think every trope can look pretty under a different light. It
I
depends on
agree with
how it's
that.
displayed.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Are you asked what's being an original like?
Oh. um, it's a lot of work. It's but it's okay. I will say it's really amazing to be able to have like full control of my story and like just design this IP however I want. Like I think being the art director of like your work is really really cool. And the fact that I get paid to draw is amazing. That's super awesome. I will say that it's also very physically taxing. Um and it can be pretty rough. I think the deadlines can be pretty rough, but hopefully you have a good support system and they can help you through it.
Okay. I can see that. I can only imagine those weekly deadlines are crazy. Like Don't get sick. Don't have anything going on IRL.
Yeah, it's nuts. But I try to focus on the good stuff, and I am ultimately really grateful that I can tell my story and get paid for it. That's that's pretty awesome.
That is super awesome. Kaisen asks, "Do you think a story should be fast paced or slow and take its time?"
Mm. I guess it depends on, what kind of story you want to tell. So, like, y- there are different situations where a fast paced story works better and others where a slow paced one works better. I think Yulian is pretty fast paced, um, but I'd really like to explore doing something slower paced for my next story, whatever form that might take.
Yes, the golden retriever. I mean, the dog
Ooh.
wolf story.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Wait, I have so many ideas right now just swimming around, and one of them is, and if someone wants to steal this, that's okay because it you know what? All the more better. I love dogs, but I want to make a magical girl story, or not a magical girl, just a magical, like, just a story where, like, you get like a familiar, like a magic familiar, except
Hmm.
they're all like different types of dogs. I think that would be
Of
so cute.
course. Of course. I mean, there are series that focus on cats and stuff. I would like, have you ever
Ugh,
seen Your Roommate is a Cat? I would love a Your Roommate is a Dog. Like, I think that would be so cute.
cats get all the attention, and it's ridiculous.
It's because they're like such interesting characters. Like
And
they're
so
they're
are dogs.
they're low
So are
key villains
dogs.
though. Like everybody loves a good villain that's like actually lovable. Like,
I'm probably just jealous because I'm super allergic to cats. I really like,
oh,
they're super cute,
I will
but
say I did love The Secret Life of Pets, and that's like the lead is a dog. He was cute.
yeah.
The cat stole the show though for me. If you've never seen it, you've got to watch it, Squid.
I have seen it. I like the dog. I love the loyalty that the main dog had. That's the kind of trope I like. That is like my number one way to get me invested in a story. A story about like a dog trying to return to his or her owner. Oh my gosh.
Oh
I'm
no.
sad. I'm
You're one of
seated.
those. Okay, okay.
What?
I see now. I see. Okay.
No,
I
no.
understand you as a full human now. Like I completely get it.
Like, oh my god, imagine the dog goes on little adventures, like he he has like a little traveling through the forest montage. He makes friends with a elderly snail who like guides him towards the city. I don't know.
Oh my god. This
It would
sounds
be
like a
so cute.
wild robot, but dog coded. I love the wild robot. Like I could watch that movie every day. I love it so much. I would watch a wild dog movie.
It is a beautiful movie. The
Oh,
Wild
it's so
Robot.
good. Oh, it's so good. I saw it in theaters like 16 times. Like I was going like every day.
Oh my god. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
Yeah, I was sobbing in the theater.
I love this idea though, and a wise old snail guides him back home. He'll never make it. He'll never make it. Like
No, please. You have no faith. Where's your
none,
Where's your
literally
belief,
none.
Apollo?
I don't have any faith in the
Have
snail.
you
I'm
no
sorry.
romance?
Oh
Have
my
you no
good.
passion?
I mean, romance. Are they getting married? Like what's happening? This
Romance as in the romantic epics of the past.
Oh, I was
The
thinking snail X dog. I was like, I don't know
No,
how
Jesus.
that will work. Oh, I see what you're saying. Romance of the story.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh man, I want this now. Somebody please make a story about an elderly dog and an
no, no, no,
elderly
no,
dog,
no,
an
no, no.
elderly snail and a
Yeah,
young dog.
the dog has to be young and sweet and like eager. I can't stand an old dog like that. That will hurt me so much. Like stories about oh
I
man, I'm
mean, if
getting
he's
emotional just
following a
thinking about it.
snail, I mean, he will get older on the journey.
I'm ending. Cut the cameras. We're done.
We're done. All right. Guys, we're going to end on that note. So, thank you so much for being here, Squid. Maybe you could give us a little shout out, tell us where to find you, all of the good things.
Yeah, uh, my Patreon's pretty inactive, so please don't send me money there.
Send her money, tip her for
No,
being here.
do
Like,
not.
just tip her $1.
I also don't use Twitter that much anymore. I guess the the only relevant link there is the Instagram icon. But yeah, it's Squidsyes on Instagram. And most importantly, please give World Eater Yulian a try if any of this sounded interesting to you. And I do want to just clarify one last time. Like I am not an authority on this. I'm just doing my best, but I'm not the best artist. I suck at drawing build. Like I'm just trying. I so you know like take my words with lots of grains of salt.
Oh my god. Come on, chat. Look at the art on screen. Like, this is a promo for season 2. The art slaps. So, season 2 will be out this coming Monday. That's June
Yes.
23rd. Please check out the series, give it a read. You can catch up in time before the season 2 starts. So now's the time. Go ahead and check out World Eater Yulian. Did I say it right?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm so proud of myself. And so, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending your evening with me. And we will catch you in the next video.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I think it's crazy that like oh my gosh. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Oh man, and thank you Apollo for hosting and having such like just being an amazing host, asking amazing questions, everything, you know.
Of
Thank
course.
everyone.
Yes, yes. And so if you enjoyed this interview, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you learned. What did you pick up about world building? There were so many tips, so many little points that we all can implement into developing our stories. And if there is a creator, a topic, or whatever you can think of that something you want me to discuss in the future, just leave me a comment below. And I am not ashamed. I will reach out to the people you guys want to hear from. Like I will be in their DMs immediately. And with that, we will catch you in the next video again. Bye bye.